So we had a nice little vol crush coming into toward the end of the day yesterday, and things are all of a sudden looking a lot brighter for my position here. It was getting kind of ugly about 48 hours ago. A couple things happened. First of all, my video got taken down. I had put in the thumbnail a picture of this weird tattoo on this guy's head. It looked like it was just this optical illusion tattoo on this guy's head as the thumbnail, and for some reason YouTube, in their ultimate wisdom, decided that they would take my video down and accuse me of putting nudity and sex in a video inappropriately. So that was fun. I ended up appealing it, which just if you're potential YouTubers out there, be careful when you appeal stuff, because if you lose, it can hurt you. But anyway, I appealed it, and the video got back up, but I didn't understand what had happened for a while. Like, sometimes your video's down, you don't know why, and ultimately they did send me an email about it, but I couldn't figure out what was going on for a while. Anyway, yeah, vol came in a lot yesterday. Of course, had to do with the market rallying, but for me it was like, you know, I had a friend come over recently, and I was teaching him some basics of setting up his brokerage account and all this stuff, and meanwhile, what do I have to show? I'm like flat to losing money. You know, when I started this position, the P&L for this small account was somewhere around $9,000 or $10,000. Well, it got down to something like $6,300 yesterday. I was down to, and it's like, what am I doing? You know, I was down like $2,000 on this position in like a week or two. Anyway, so now it's back to things kind of came back a little bit. It looks like I'm negative 900 now, and the future kind of looks bright. I mean, we have expirations happening pretty much right now in VIX front month December futures expiration. Actually, it happened around 8:30. If we look at the final print here for the DEES future, you'll notice if you have the front month future in your Thinkorswim, it just disappeared yesterday, right? Because they switch everything around coming into expiration. But I always like to look and see what happened on expiration. Now, if you're trading UVXY or VXX, remember that this front month future doesn't really matter anymore, because it's kind of out of the equation. It's sort of moot right now. But I still like to see what happens on expiration, because sometimes stuff is bouncing all over the place. You can see the chart behind me. Not that much action. We haven't seen any really sketchy expirations in the last 6 months. A couple years ago, we were getting a lot of sketchy expirations where, like, these futures would move all over the board right on expiration, or they make a big move right on expiration, which was potentially sketchy. You'd think like maybe someone was trying to manipulate things, but we haven't seen that for a while. Anyway, we had the market rally a lot yesterday. If we look at the chart of the E-mini over the past, just kind of representing the broad market over the past couple weeks, 20 days, you can see that we've just kind of slowly moved sideways to up. So this is not a chart that justifies, you know, vol being up high at all, right? We're kind of going nowhere. And we did see the VIX pop up to around 25 over the last couple sessions. If I pull up a VIX chart here, we got to 25.14, but just kind of moving sideways here. We got down to I think that was a bad print, 1950, but we kind of got down to 20, and we're just hanging out. Meanwhile, we have stayed in a nice level of contango. If we look at VIX Central, remember that front month future is going to fall off. So all of a sudden, our level of contango is going to go down a little bit, right? So when we look at this chart here and we see the front month contango 10%, well, that's going to be gone, right? Because we're moving to this number 2 here, which is 4% right now. And that will, and I think the guy Eli Mintz, who runs the site, usually sometime today he'll take down this front month future. So we've gone from 10% contango to 4%, but that's kind of really what always happens. In fact, sometimes this will be even flatter. It will start at like 1% or something, and then in the next couple of days you should see this contango number start to build again as they start executing the roll here, buying the Fed futures and selling Jan. We're going to see this curve steepen a little bit as this Fed future comes online as part of the equation for UVXY and VXX. Remember, every day, right now, UVXY and VXX are based entirely on this Fed future. And then the first day after expiration, if there's 30 days in the cycle, it becomes 1/30th the Jan future. I'm sorry, we're entirely based on the Jan future right now. And as days go by, the next day it will be 1/30th the Feb future and 29/30th the Jan. The next day it will be 2/30th the Feb future and 28/30th the Jan. The next day it will be 3/30th the Feb, 27/30th the Jan, and so on and so forth as we slowly roll upward and out here as we rebalance every day. Now, it's not, although I'm describing it as this kind of like trading in or buying and selling of the futures to to sell a Jan and buy a Feb. That happens to some extent with the ProShares people keeping their fund in line, but it's not exactly the way that this stuff is priced. The way this stuff is actually priced is there is an index that actually takes into account that rebalancing or that changing in the balancing of where the pricing comes from, and it's an index that takes into account each day that we're kind of rolling forward. And the way it actually works in practice is market makers make a market around that index. So if the index says, right now that UVXY should be worth 25, then they're going to make a market around that 25 number. The way ProShares keeps up and hedges themselves is by buying and selling these futures. Ultimately, the roll does get reflected somehow in the futures market because people do have to hedge themselves, but don't think of it as every day they're coming and they're selling these and buying these specifically, because it doesn't work like that in practice. In practice, yes, they are adjusting the number of futures they have, and if we do look at the ProShares website, you're going to see the number of futures change. So they are buying and selling futures, but they're not necessarily doing it. They might be using different. They might be using swaps. There's a swap here. If we look at the ProShares website, there's one swap here. You can see it's showing right now the Jan future is the only future involved, and actually in practice it's a kind of a day ahead of the way I was describing it. So yesterday was all Jan futures. Today they're going to start buying Feb and selling Jan. And VXX is a note. So VXX, they don't necessarily are going to buy and sell futures, but they are. The end result is going to be as if they did, reflected in the specific index which they make markets around, that is going to be based on this sort of a calculation. So people will say technically, I'm not describing it exactly the way it works, but in your mind, when you think of it that way, it's gonna give you a good idea of kind of what's going on here, which is over time the front month future is getting replaced by the second month, and we're slowly moving up. It's slowly, the end result is these futures are slowly moving the price of UVXY and VXX up and away from spot, and as these futures fall towards spot, we have potential for this to continue moving lower and lower and lower. And this is the primary reason why when we pull up a chart of UVXY or VXX, they are moving down over time. If we pull up UVXY, it's going to show like that we went from 900,000 down to 0 if we go far out in time. So I can go on here and I can do manually adjust the time frame, and if I do 10 years, you're going to see it's coming from way up here, down. Same with VXX. It's slowly coming down over the years, right? And if we can change the time frame. And it's not really showing us. Let's see, maybe I have to adjust something else here. So time frame, aggregate period, week, month. How about month? Okay. It's only showing us a couple years. This is because, I believe this is because VXX, the name of VXX changed over time. And so it's not getting all the data. But anyways, if we did expand this farther, it would look very similar to UVXY, where we're coming slowly down, down, down over time towards zero. And every time we get really close to zero, they reverse split it again. So we never actually get to zero, but we're just heading closer and closer to zero over time is the way it works. So yeah, so it was kind of ugly. You know, the puts that I own right now are these September puts. I paid an average of 129 for them. Now they're 109 bid at 119. So it's not like, you know, they're so far away. It's just that, you know, the 10 strike is not that close to the 17 right now. And, you know, we've got plenty of time. We've got 275 days. However, we're so far out of the money on these puts right now that they're just kind of languishing. You know, if we can roll down towards 15, 14, then these are going to start to pick up some speed for us. But right now, it's just we're kind of hanging out in Never Never Land here. But you know, the good news is that we are in contango, and that is over time pulling this stuff lower. With the 10% contango, that was pulling this stuff down. If the VIX kind of stays in the same place, it's pulling this down by like 1.5 points per month. And you know, it doesn't take long at 1.5 points per month to get closer and closer to that 10 strike. So I'm just going to sit with the position here, just leave it. I haven't touched anything in a couple weeks, and we can watch it together and see what happens here. You know, it's a good thing I didn't sell out when we were down to 6,300 or whatever, because we made it 1,000 back in the last day. And I think that we will continue to make money back, go into the positive, and that this position will work for us. This is one of the things about trading, though, is a lot of times, you know, it's not always that you're going to put something on and it's going to be a winner that first day and it's going to stay a winner from then on. A lot of people that teach or talk about trading will have you believe that, yes, you put a position on, and if it's not a winner right away, you take it right off and then put something else on. And some people do that kind of thing. This is a longer term trade. This trade is based on having contango and forces work for us. This trade is also based on having an opinion that the VIX will at some point go back through the mean or the average, or where it usually is, and be lower than the average. Because for 20 to be the average in the VIX, that means it spends some time above the average and some time below the average. So my plan for this position is to just hang out until it is a winner. And once it's a winner by a significant amount, to actually sell some options against this. This is costing decay every day. It shows $29 a day in decay. So that's something that's on my mind. However, if we start getting in a situation where this is profitable to a certain point, I will sell some options against it. There's just not that much of an opportunity here to sell stuff against it right now. Do I really want to go out, you know, 100 days to sell an option for 10 cents? To, you know, if I sell the 10 put in March against this, they're 10-cent bid. Do I really want to give up, you know, the potential downside of this going below 10 at some point for 10 cents? No, I don't. So there's not a lot of opportunity to sell stuff against this, just because we've picked a put that's so far out of the money at this point. However, the good news is that we've got tons of time. So I'm just going to leave this position, see what happens from here moving forward. I'm hoping that that little song clip I put at the beginning of this video is not going to disqualify this video and have it marked as demonetized or something like that. That was one of my buddies' guitar lesson videos, and hopefully YouTube is not going to say that that is, you know, some actual Grateful Dead video that I'm violating some and I'm demonetized. So I guess if they're going to demonetize it immediately, you wouldn't see me online right now. So there's that. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are right now. The stock market has kind of diverged a little bit. Some stocks are doing well. My buddy, who I was helping set up his account and whatnot, the stocks that he's long really didn't go up yesterday, where other stuff did. I'm kind of in ghost mode here. You can see through me. But we are hopeful that there'll be some sort of stimulus deal coming this week. We had Mitch McConnell yesterday acknowledge that Biden is the president-elect, is just kind of another step forward here. All indications are that we're close to a stimulus deal, but it just hasn't happened yet. We were close to a deal in August, though, so I'll kind of believe it when I see it. The market is pricing in some sort of deal. However, pricing in and anticipating a deal is not the same as actually the certainty of having it. We could certainly, the volatility could kind of collapse if they do announce a deal and it's a done thing. We could see vol come in a little bit. I'd like to see us get below 20 on the VIX, and it's kind of been a rough road since I put this position on. We've basically gone sideways to up. I think VXX was trading right around 1750, 1740 when I put the position on, and you know, we've had that $30 a day in decay for the last 2 weeks, so that's gone against us, and we're just kind of waiting here. Now, somebody put up a chart saying how this is a great, you know, this is a bottom in the VIX, and their chart made it look like we are like right down here right now, around like 10 or something. And I don't know how that is. This is a long-term chart of the VIX, and you can see that, you know, long-term we're actually kind of right in the middle here, right? We're not at the bottom, so not quite sure that that chart that guy gave was completely accurate. Now, certainly you could make a case that we're lower than we were a little while ago, and things could go higher. I know there's people out there that are long the VIX right now, and you could certainly make a case for that. The whole kind of point behind the position that I have on right now is that, you know, whether the VIX goes up or down, we have contango working in our favor right now, and this is sort of a long-term position that should take advantage of that contango, regardless kind of where the VIX goes. Now, obviously, if the VIX goes to 40 and stays there, this position is not going to work very well, even with contango, but the likelihood of that is not huge. We could get a spike, certainly, to 40, but it probably won't stay there. But I can't read the future. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. So we'll do the best we can to work with the position here and see where we go from there. Kind of an uneventful expiration this morning, which is fine. Expiration is kind of moot for these products since we're not trading options directly on the VIX. We're trading options on these ETPs. Expiration kind of moot because that future that was expiring is no longer part of the calculation for these products. So it's kind of fun to check it out and see what happened on expiration, but as far as affecting our P&L, it doesn't really matter. So we're back to 4% contango now, and we can start to look and see what's up, Spencer, what's up, Dasbuff, what's up, Tom. It's great to see all these people that are members of the channel coming on saying hi in the morning. Hope you guys are making money. The market, I saw there's one guy who I kind of respect on here on Twitter who was saying that he was short in 1987. He was short in 2008. Basically, every big down move he was short. He got short ahead of, and this particular, and now he's short again because he thinks there's going to be another big down move. And I think you'll notice that there's always people calling a top, but take it for what it's worth. This guy thinks that we're way overvalued and that this is we're going to have a huge sell-off coming soon. I don't see where it says that, but anyways, so like I said, there's always going to be people calling the top. There's always going to be people, and you know, I could come on YouTube every day and every day make a video about how like this is the end. You know, start buying duct tape and you know, buy bags of silver coins and take your money out of the bank and, you know, set up farming and a bomb shelter because this is the end. And I would actually have a lot more followers than I do now if I were to come on and say that, like, this is the end and that, you know, doom and gloom, because people love that drama and people love to think that they're calling the top. However, the reality of it is most of the time it's not the top and we slowly move higher. And so for me to come on and say that this is, you know, this is the top and this is the end and we should all buy a bunch of puts would probably turn out me looking kind of silly, because, you know, the odds on is that the next day the E-minis are up 10 coming into the open, the NASDAQ futures are up 20, and nothing's really going on, because that's kind of what the market usually does. So yeah, it's fun to call a top, and you know, these guys that call a top all the time or frequently, when we actually do sell off, we'll point to it and say, well, I called it, and they won't mention the other, you know, 499 times they called it and it didn't go down. So be skeptical of people who tell you, or who seem to know with certainty what's going to happen in the future, because if you really think about it, how could they? And I know that's kind of an obvious point, but when people first start out in the markets, they're kind of naive, and they're wowed by the numbers and the potential to make money, and they see somebody that maybe has a lot of followers, or, you know, is wearing a suit, or, you know, has a lot of money, and they think, wow, that guy must know ahead of time what's going to happen. That's how he made all that money. And they don't realize that, you know, from the smallest trader to the biggest, nobody actually knows what's going to happen. And some people can talk a good game and act like they know what's going to happen, but, you know, being a BS artist is not the same thing as being a successful trader. And you know, hanging with the fact that we don't know what's going to happen is a skill that you acquire over time. It's great that my buddy made a little money starting out right away trading stocks his first month, but to be consistent is a hard thing to do, and even someone like Warren Buffett doesn't achieve consistency every quarter, even every year. This has been a tough year for me, actually, and none of it has come from the last 6 months. The last 6 months has been fine. It's just that the first wave of selling in the pandemic really hurt me, and I've been kind of trying to chip away at that ever since. So I'm looking forward to the beginning of next year and to kind of start afresh on everything. I like the position that we have on here, and we'll see what happens moving forward. Thanks for watching today. I will see you on Friday, and one of the interviews I was going to do, the guy kind of backed off due to, like, you know, he's busy for the holidays and stuff, but I have some other stuff cooking for you, and we'll get on to that very soon. Thanks for coming and checking in. Let's see what we got on the chat. Tesla will collapse. Yeah, Tesla could collapse. My sound sounds like Charlie Brown. I gotta fix it. Yeah. Is that better? Wah, 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 wah. I'm gonna buy a new mixer today, so I apologize for the sound. I got flat in my IRA back in 2008. That's awesome. Is the sound better like that, or is it the same? I'm turning it down now a little bit. Anyways, apologies for the sound. I know it's not great. I gotta buy a new box. This is what I'm using. I'm using this Focusrite box here. And apparently it has issues, so I apologize for that. I'm adding a second webcam so you can look at the top of my head and stuff when I'm talking moving forward. So that will be fun. Thanks for everybody for checking in. I'm sorry about the sound. I am going to fix it for you. I'm not sure if it's the mic or the Focusrite box. I believe it is the box, but I'm going to get it fixed for you. Sorry about that. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Best of luck today. We're supposed to have a big storm in the East Coast, so batten down the hatches and get ready, because tonight is supposed to be like a big storm coming in. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Oh my god, that lighting, bro. The TV's on in the background, but I like this ambiance.